I apologise.
For what?
Ladies and gentlemen, when Rob first asked me to be his best man, I thought, shit, what an absolute ball ache. How am I going to talk about him for 5 minutes without saying anything too crude, rude or repulsive? Then, the more I thought about it, the more I thought how much of an honour it is. I mean, it's a very special occasion. It's clearly the biggest day of his life. I should be proud that I'm one of 2 people he respects enough to do the job. Then I got here. I took one look at the rest of the groomsmen and his mates and thought, who the hell is he going to pick? It's not like he's Stephen Hawking and has a bucket loads of astrophysicists and other leading minds to choose from. He has friends with an average weight of well over 100 kegs and names like Jobby, Disco, Puka and Beast. But I digress. Now before I go any further, I'd like everyone to raise their glasses and join me in a toast to the beautiful bride. Wen, you look gorgeous today. To the bride. I'm not sure how the best man's speech is done in the Philippines. Where we're from, it's an opportunity to stand up and take the piss out of the groom and lay bare all his misdoings over the years. You seem like such a nice bunch of people, and I'd hate to ruin what is a lovely day by reliving all the childish filth that I know about Rob. So take most of what I say with a pinch of salt, and maybe some of it with a good dose of penicillin. That said, I will not be talking about the time Rob put his finger up a cat's bottom. I will make no mention of the triangular patch of pubic hair that lies just above his bum crack, which we fondly refer to as the back badge. Instead, I'm going to try and talk about the other Rob, the generous, funny and friendly guy, the guy I have been friends with longer than any of my other friends, and the guy with whom Wang has clearly fallen in love. I've known Rob since I was about 10. Despite how it looks, Rob is actually 12 days younger than me. I often think we may have shared a birthday, had only his head been smaller. Rob lived down the road from me and we hung out pretty much every day. I have fond memories of staying over at his house, watching Rage and eating microwave puddings late into the night. It's a wonder how we got so fat, eh? I had a great time growing up in Menai, and I owe a lot of it to my friendship with Rob. Sure, he got me suspended from school for a week when we graffitied it. I don't remember how long, but I was banned from seeing him after that. Sure, he convinced me to place a flaming paper bag filled with dog poo on one of his neighbours' doorstep, so we could ring the bell and watch him come out and try and stamp the fire out. Perhaps it was the uncontrollable giggling as we lit the bag and rang the bell that alerted him. I didn't realise at the time, but the guy came out real quick. I thought it was just Rob running behind me, so I stopped in a fit of laughter, only to have a bag of burning dog poo thrown at me. The neighbour grabbed me, took me to Lynn. She called my parents. Again, I don't know how long, but I was banned from seeing him after that. I remember the laughs we had sitting next to each other in French class, day in, day out, without the least bit of interest in learning French. I remember how it sent Mr. Giotto into such a furious French tirade that he stopped mid-class, walked out, and never ever returned to our school. None of you would know that Rob's the only person I ever had a fight with at school. It wasn't a great fight, and I'm not sure how many punches were actually landed. Granted, he didn't have the 3 or so dummy chins back then to throw me off my aim. But given he has that planet-sized object holding his ears up, it's a wonder I didn't connect more. 6.5 minutes. But this speech isn't just about our youth and what was clearly the negative impact Rob had on me. This speech is about the good guy Rob is, and the guy some of you are lucky enough to be welcoming into your family. I agree he can come across a bit childless, and frankly I find his humour offensive. But Rob is also a very thoughtful and generous person. Take a look at the number of friends that have travelled far and wide to be part of the day. Well, their hands up. Who amongst us came to make sure he wasn't marrying a tranny? When we lived together, we never had a single argument. What Rob had was mine, and what I had was his. We would always pay for one another if the other was short of cash. There was never any need to ask for it, keep a tab, or repay it. It always evened out. A few years back, I was out of work, and Rob would always unquestionably shout me a night out, and he never ever asked for any money back. He's a lot of fun to be around. He's the life of the party. He only has about 5 good stories and loves to tell those same ones any time we get together. Once he even brought home a spare. All his mates would agree Rob is a very loyal friend. He doesn't expect anything from us. I like the way we can go weeks without speaking, then you'll get a text at 11:30 in the morning, see if you want to go for a beer, and within minutes, it's like you had just seen him yesterday. Mind you, within an hour, you're looking forward to those few weeks of quiet again. I never doubted Rob would meet someone and settle down. He used to say he didn't want to, but I always knew he did. It wasn't for lack of trying that he didn't find someone sooner. He always had girlfriends over the years, but usually they only lasted an hour. Sometimes 2 if you've been drinking. As I alluded to at the start of this speech, I wasn't sure how I was going to give a speech which was relevant to both the Australian and Filipino audience. And a lot of what I have said will probably make very little sense to many of you. Someone told me that basketball has a huge following in the Philippines. And while I'm not that au fait with the terminology, I think one thing we can all agree on is that in marrying Weng, Rob has undoubtedly landed a money shot. Weng, you're a lovely lady, well out of Rob's league, and I'm glad you see the same good Rob in me that me and his mates know lies behind the crass, foul-mouthed individual that many others see. Thankfully, you lack the ability to rebuff the obvious sexualness which exudes from his every pore. But this is good as it will help you when baby-making time comes. I'd like to finish by saying I have the utmost faith that this will be a long and happy marriage. In the immortal words of Kirk Lazarus, the key to success is you never go full retard. Despite the examples of stupidity mentioned and the many, many more I've had to leave out, I'm happy to stand before you all today and say, is Rob childish? Yes. Crass? Yes. Filthy? Yes. But full retard? No.
That was great.
That actually wasn't as bad as I was
Shall we upload
expecting.
it?
Well done, mate. Okay, they say you're